Yes, tomorrow the president's trip will take a hard turn from the pageantry of a royal visit to politics. Recent polls show Mr. Trump is very unpopular in Great Britain, and in a few hours, tens of thousands of people, and maybe more, are expected to march against him. President Trump and the First Lady were hosted by the Queen at a lavish black-tie dinner, royal fanfare on full display. As Trump sat side by side with Her Royal Highness and near Prince Charles, he might have thought of his mother. It's been reported the president's mother was a royalist. He shared stories of her sitting for hours in front of the TV on the day Queen Elizabeth was crowned, unwilling to pull herself away from the coverage. British journalists say the president has been exceedingly proper in following royal protocol as he and the First Lady had a full day of ceremonial events, including lunch with the Queen, a tour of Westminster Abbey, visiting the grave of the unknown warrior, topped off by the banquet to honor the relationship between the two countries.
She has embodied the spirit of dignity, duty, and patriotism that beats proudly in every British heart.
His speech at times almost felt like a love letter for the Queen, talking about her being this great, great woman. Utter reverence, which you don't often see from him, of course.
You also don't often see the Queen give a political speech at a state dinner. She's not allowed to, but some say she came pretty close.
She didn't mention Mr. Trump until the end, but what she was talking about was shared sacrifice, alliances, friendships, all the important things between the United States and Great Britain, and things that President Trump doesn't often believe in.
He has been less diplomatic in recent days, criticizing outgoing Prime Minister Theresa May's handling of Brexit negotiations and all but endorsing her longtime rival Boris Johnson's campaign in the middle of a highly contested race to replace her. Some analysts suggest one reason he wades into British politics is because he views the Brexit narrative as parallel to his own political rise.
Why you hear him bring up things like Brexit, wanting to meet with Nigel Farage, is the idea that I think he views that Brexit vote as having been a prologue or a prelude to his own election as President of the United States. This idea of people sort of bucking what the pollsters were saying, kind of trying to take back their nation's future.
No word yet on if the president will meet with Farage. No chance he'll be meeting with Sadiq Khan. Moments before landing, Trump called the London mayor a stone-cold loser in response to a scathing op-ed in which Khan called Trump a global threat. Some analysts lamenting that Trump didn't leave his brand of blunt politics at home.
After all, why is he there? He's there because of the D-Day celebrations across the channel. That's all about allies, friendship, and enlightened self-interest. These are big themes, and they should be the themes that he hits, not his dislike for individual Brits.
Meanwhile, some Brits are making clear their dislike of him. President Trump tweeted he didn't see any protests, despite a group outside Buckingham Palace as he met with Queen Elizabeth. He has not posted yet whether he's aware of the giant side-by-side projection of his and former President Barack Obama's UK approval ratings, or the USS McCain hat, referring to reports the White House tried to hide the ship during the president's recent trip to Japan. Thousands are expected to protest in London tomorrow. On the Facebook page Together Against Trump, almost 9,000 people have signed up to go, with 34,000 indicating they're interested. On CNN, a British journalist put the president's polarizing presence like this.
This is a president who's got 21% approval rating among Brits. That's actually several points lower than Theresa May, the outgoing prime minister, who's widely considered to be a complete disaster.
The president and First Lady are not staying at Buckingham Palace overnight. The reason given was because the palace is undergoing extensive renovation. A Scottish newspaper reports the Trump family and staff are staying in one of London's most expensive hotels, the Park Lane, at a cost of $1.2 million.
Wow, that's a lot of money. Wow, Lori, all right, thanks so much.